some peace of mind. But TikTok said a gator drove a Jeep through the blinds. Florida man's at it again with fireworks and a goat. And someone married a ghost in a Dollar Tree coat. Hey, what in the Walmart rapture is going on? Aliens dancing in a Waffle House song. Karen's got a taser in the checkout line. And Dr. Oz just adopted birds to fight off crime. I'm just sitting here scrolling my jaw on the floor. The internet's a circus and I can't take no more. Yeah. When it's wildin', there's a raccoon in the sink. Someone robbed a Wendy's just to steal a frosty drink. A pastor's gone viral yelling about the end is near, while folks ride hoverboards in wedding gear. Hey, what in the Walmart rapture is this mess? Florida's a movie, but it's filmed in VHS. Someone fed meth to a squirrel named Dave, and now he's in a cage just throwing rave. I'm just...
Hey guys, it's Mo. It is Tuesday, which I'm glad me and Shizzy talked to each other because we were under the impression that it was Wednesday. And just a couple reminders for housekeeping before we get into headlines and the absurd. Make sure that you are on live chat and not top chat. And the bingo cards are linked. So, if you want to play Newsy News Bingo, get your cards and, well, you get the ego boost of knowing that you successfully have figured out the algorithm of how I think, which is basically what you win if you win bingo, because I tend to pull stories of a similar ilk to match bingo cards. So there you go. Good morning, everyone. I know, and I actually didn't even put the name Dave in there. I guess they just figured it rhymed somewhere. I just put it into Chat GPT that I wanted a jingle about the absurdity that I find on the internet. And thank you guys. Thank you, Celestial Force, for chatting before you go into lurker mode. That's a good time to remind and do a little subservient grift that you guys would please, even if you are lurkers, just put a letter in the chat, just a scotch, just, tickle one of those buttons, because YouTube is as ho. If you have that on your bingo card, you can go ahead and mark it off. Also, if you were attempting to watch on X, there is a Cloudflare problem. Now, not being astute on the inner workings of the interwebs, I spent 20 minutes trying to figure out where the hell Cloudflare was on my own personal computer until Mr. Mo explained that it was the Cloudflare, I don't know, internet cave of solitude in Chicago that was down. So it's a YouTube-y kind of day. So I don't even know what a Cloudflare is, but apparently it is on the fritz. So if you have anything to do with, the twit twat, or as Baker says, I'm not going to be your technical guide, but there is something wrong with the Cloudflare. So I am attempting to bring you the news of which I have no understanding about, how technology even works. And good to see you, Toodly Pip. Welcome, welcome. Well, in kind of an end of a story that has been going on since I was a young Mo in middle school, before I had been bitten by the law tube nerd that, was dormant in all of us, or maybe it had awoken in you by the time the OJ trial had come onto the scene. But, after covering this headline and looking into this story, I'm almost tempted to do kind of a review of the OJ case, since, what more could you ask for? I bring the whiteboard of truth. We have knife, we have money, we have a book, If I Did It, we have a Bronco, and we have a man that appeared in many Naked Gun movies being utter bullshit at, actual Red Rum. It's the case that we all need in our life. Now, I know that Legal Vices did a great job redoing or going over the OJ trial, but maybe there are bits and pieces that I could go through because I really didn't pay attention. I just know that I was the only kid in the class who thought he was guilty as sin and was upset that he got acquitted. Oh, you're right. I forgot the glove. How could I do that? But it was one that I didn't pay attention to because I was so young. That and the Menendez trial, there were so many trials that kind of were really instrumental into kind of pushing trial watching into its what it is now. It would be kind of interesting to see the trial that, well, I mean, for me, started it all. America, oh, no, that's the wrong. I had the wrong thing up. I was looking something else up right before I started. Talk about professionalism. Anywho, O.J. Simpson's estate has officially agreed to pay Fred Goldman millions 31 years after the murder of his son, Ron Goldman. Now, I do know it was behind a paywall, but apparently Cato Caitlin is still alive and is living kind of a reclusive life now. Although I don't know what you do after you're America's most infamous house guest. The estate of late O.J. Simpson has officially accepted a multi-million-dollar claim from Fred Goldman, Ron Goldman's father, 31 years after the Goldman family won a wrongful death suit against the NFL star. Now, the creditors claim that was submitted by Fred in July 2024 was for the amount of $57,997,858.12 plus judgment interest on top of that approved amount per paperwork that was obtained by People as it was filed by the estate's executor, Malcolm Laverne, in Clark County District Court in Nevada on November 14th, this past Friday. Now, Fred filed the claim for more than $117 million, but Malcolm stated that he believed that Fred's computation of interest, while done in good faith, was inaccurate per the court documents. Now, Malcolm stated he would continue to work on Fred on a more accurate interest calculation. Oh, Lawrex did an abbreviated. Okay, that's actually interesting. I mean, I will say that as someone who didn't even watch the trial, I feel like I'm open to, you know, having my perspective change now when I'm faced with the actual trial. So it would be interesting to watch if my, disgruntled 12-year-old opinion that he done got away with, red rum would change, should I actually watch the trial. That'd be something really cool to watch. I kind of like it when my perspectives change. I know that for some people it's really, really uncomfortable, but for me, kind of getting the perspective that is alien to me and being able to see something in a new light is really, really fascinating, even if it's a scotch uncomfortable because it's not how I think. I always love that kind of chess game that really good lawyers are able to play, where they know what they want to get across and they know exactly the tone, the delivery, and what is best going to reach their audience, the jury, and to a wider extent in these bigger cases like the O.J. Simpson case, how that is going to translate into public opinion. I mean, O.J. Simpson was probably the first case in my lifetime where the court of public opinion was greatly divided and absolutely, it was polarizing. It was kind of the first event in my life where I saw people watching the same event and coming away with very different perspectives. And it was really interesting to see basically humans watch the same thing and come up with such diametrically opposite views. In case you want to go into the inner nerd workings of Mo, that's what really gets my neurons, jangling. All of the ways that people interpret things differently in order to come up with completely different perspectives on what could objectively be seen as a same thing, how you can look at something and think completely differently. I don't know. That's always intrigued me. It's always intrigued me how people think. So that's where I nerd out. Thank you for indulging me in my nerd fashion. Now, while speaking to TMZ, Malcolm did say that the estate plans to pay out as much of the amount as possible as they continue to auction off items of, you know, O.J. Simpson. He additionally claimed that some items had been stolen from the estate, and he is currently working with lawyers to regain possession of them. The irony that a man who didn't go to jail for red rum, but for stealing some of his memorabilia, had his estate robbed. I don't know. There's something sweet irony about that. To me, again, things that make Mo smile are not typical things. Now, he further told the outlet that he plans to ask the court to award Ron a fee for advising him on how to run the estate. In a statement to People, the Goldman family's attorney, Michelle Rafferty of Marpin, Cox, and Lagoy, said the executor's acceptance of the claim is a positive acknowledgement of debt. It doesn't constitute payment. This acceptance allows the administration of the claim to move forward in probate. We will continue to monitor the probate process as it progresses. Now, O.J. Simpson was acquitted of the 1994 stabbing deaths of his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and 25-year-old Ron Goldman in 1995. However, the Brown and Goldman family took the former athlete and Naked Gun actor to civil court. And as us law nerds know, the burden of proof is much lesser in civil court. It's, something that Karen Reed is really having to fight over right now. Now, I have stepped away from the Karen Reed thing because it has gotten hella crazy. Honest to God, y'all, never did I have on my bingo card that the Karen Reed case would be the case that made the internet lose its mind. I figured, it would be a really hot button political case, but the Karen Reed case has drawn like Hatfield and McCoy energy from the get, and I don't get it. I really don't. I mean, maybe it's because I'm too much of a people watcher and I tend to do a 50,000 mile, objective view on things to try to see if there's anything to it, and it just doesn't make sense to me. Show your Hank doll. So Mr. Mo has made me put it in my closet because it is cursed. Yes, I did. Look, I got into it enough to spend 3 hours looking at Hank Brennan to make a sufficiently creepy doll. So, like I said, I get the hysteria for like just kind of the absurdity, but I don't get the, I am willing to die for this particular case on my argument is the thing I don't get. And the cast of Cray Cray that seems to have the drama fest going on all the time, that is RSVP me no. Like, if you want Mo to disengage from a case quickly in a hot hurry, have a lot of drama, have a lot of bickering, and I am like, you know what? I'm going to let y'all handle that. I'll stick over here with snark and absurd. I mean, yes. Now, O.J. Simpson did pass away in April of 2024 at the age of 76, still in debt to the family. He died without penance, David Cook, an attorney for Fred, told People at the time. He didn't want to give a dime or a nickel to Fred, never, anything ever. Now, again, that is from the perspective of a lawyer working for Ron Goldman, so I can't attribute or put any validity as to what O.J. Simpson's mental state actually was, but it does seem like he was not willing to pay what he was adjudicated to pay. Cook additionally told People that previous lawyers from the family had sought to obtain the pensions that OJ received from the NFL, but they went nowhere with it. Lawyers also potentially looked at obtaining money from OJ's trusts as well, but they kept hitting a wall. Following the news of OJ's death, Fred told People that it was a reminder of his loss at the time. This is just a reminder for us about how long Ron has been gone, how long we've missed him, and nothing more than that, he said. That's the only thing that's important today. It's the pain from them until now. There's nothing today that is more important than the loss of my son and the loss of Nicole. Nothing's more important than that. So I understand, why people have really, really different opinions about this case. And, maybe in the future, between cases or on, random day of the week of our choosing at some point, we will look at the OJ trial, because I definitely want to kind of see if my opinion changes, and it doesn't bother me for my opinion to change. Now, the only thing that bothers me is when I realize I was willing to die on a hill and I was completely wrong. Like, that's the only time I'm like, ooh, that kind of sucks to be me. But as far as like just forming my own opinion and having it change, nah, it's not a big deal to me. Now, I have questions, and y'all can go ahead and mark off wig talk. You're welcome. Hallelujah. What the hell did this, how did this happen? How did this wig maker from hell get a sweetheart deal? I am pissed. Not only because as a person who buys wigs, as a person who drools over really luxurious, very high-class wigs like this woman used to sell, that can range up into the thousands of dollars, and she has a built-in clientele with the Hasidic population, because once a woman is married, she has to cover her hair for religious doctrinal reasons. So Hasidic communities will spend a lot on both scarves, but real human hair wigs. So these are not cheap. When I say they can go into the thousands of dollars, they absolutely can. So the fact that this woman had all of the money, all of the opportunities, and a cushy job, and she gets basically, a sweetheart deal for taking the lives of 3 people, including children, it really kind of grinds my gears. It scorches my grits, it frosts my flakes, if you will. It gets me a little into like table flipping Jesus mode, allegedly in Minecraft, of course. Well, the wacky wig maker who wantonly mowed down a Brooklyn mother and her 2 young daughters has scored a sweetheart plea deal over the objections of prosecutors. Miriam Yarmani, 33, pled guilty last month to manslaughter after Judge Danny Chen offered a 3 to 9 year sentence, according to court records. I mean, this woman apparently was... This is the part of justice that sometimes it makes you want to scream. It makes you want to throw out that whole, innocent until presumed guilty, bring back, the more, let's say, posse style justice. But we have to, accept these kind of outcomes as our justice system is imperfect, and hope that one day karma, call it Jesus, call it Satan, call it whatever, that something equals out the scales. I mean, that's the only thing I can give you guys, because sometimes these stories make me utterly black-pilled. But if I've learned anything in my life, and I wouldn't say this if I hadn't had personal experience, but the people that have done me wrong, the people that are utterly selfish, yeah, sometimes they win in the short term, but they lose out on a lot of riches that they don't count. Friendship, love, connections. And they're utterly bereft of things that actually really matter when it comes down to it. So, maybe she's going to go on and live, and go on with her life after these 3 to 9 years in prison. And there isn't anything that you or I can do for it. But I've seen the universe or God or karma or whatever you call it work. It takes forever, though. There is a saying that God's mill grinds relentlessly but slowly. So that's all I got for this story, honestly. Now, that deal was far less than the 15-year maximum sentence that was sought by Brooklyn prosecutors, who planned to submit a letter ahead of her Wednesday sentencing detailing the many reasons that they contend that Yarmani should be locked up for longer. Now, Yamani is accused of rocketing her luxury Audi A4 down Ocean Parkway in March and crashing into an Uber, sending her sedan careening into mother Natasha Shada and her 3 children, taking the life of her daughters Diana 7, Deborah 5, and leaving her 4-year-old Philip grievously injured, along with taking the mother's life. So again, I don't know how you take these lives and get 3 to 9 years. It makes no sense to me. I don't get it. And since when do judges offer plea deals? First of all, I'm not a lawyer. Second of all, I'm not up on the statutory laws that allows this shenanigans to go on. But hey, Albany, Congress of New York, maybe state Congress, maybe state House, maybe you guys need to look at the judicial discretion that these judges have and see it for the really, really dangerous power grab that it could be. In fact, our founding fathers were most terrified of judicial overreach. That's why there's a lot of separation and a lot of or a lot of, things in our founding documentation that stress, judicial overreach as being one of the things that will take out this country. But that's a little bit more of my own hot take. So, do with that what you will. And feel free to, do whatever you want with it. Now, the lives of Natasha Sada and her young daughters were stolen by the callous choices of a chronically reckless driver on Ocean Parkway, said Eric Gonzalez, a district attorney for Brooklyn, in a statement. Though the proposed sentence falls short of the maximum we sought, it still sends a clear message that reckless driving that ends in tragedy will be met with serious penalties. I'm sorry, you took 3 lives and you get possibly 3 years. I mean, if anything, that cheapens the lives. That says you'll go to the hoosegow for a couple of years, but you'll be out. It's not even going to be a decade. I mean, that's what it sends a message, in my personal opinion. Now, Yamani, a wig maker whose car sported the license plate "Wig Maker," was driving on a suspended license after racking up more than 93 traffic violations, including 20 speeding tickets that led to more than $10,000 accrued in fines. So this woman was a known danger. She was a habitual offender. And now all she gets is 3 to 9 years. Explain to me how any of this makes logical sense. I hate everything about this headline. So we're going to take a quick break to do a little bit of Mo is going to black pill. So let's watch a clip so she doesn't lose her damn mind. Honestly, I didn't think that this headline was going to affect me this much, but it just the gall, the audacity that's on clearance, it's pissing me off today to no end. So, and it's cold raining outside, so I should have let you guys know in the housekeeping that this is going to be a bit squirrely. But basically, Hagatha doesn't like rage, so we're going to get Mo off the ragey bits for a bit and go into some of the clips for just a little bit so I don't lose my, ever loving mind. Because it could be bad. It could be bad. Aha. All right. So I found this clip. It looks hysterical. It is, well, it's going to give us the idea of how it would be to work with one of, well, my idols, although I haven't watched all the movies. For some reason, as a person who doesn't like gore, I loved the Saw movies. I mean, I kind of watch them like this, though, to be honest. I'm like, oh, they're going to do something icky. But I love them. The first couple, not the 10,000, gajillion back from the dead, but the first, two. So working with Jigsaw, how would that go? Let's check it out. I understand why Mr. Mo made me move the Hank Bregnan puppet from off of the nightstand near our bed now. I finally understand why he did that. I'm sorry, Mr. Mo.
Something like working with Jigsaw. Not as cool as we thought it would be.
May I ask you what your bill is now? Yes, I can see what I can do to lower that number. I want to make you happy.
Okay, but y'all, seriously, now I'm tempted to make a Jigsaw puppet on a stick and just poke it in when Mr. Mo is doing stuff like construction. I should not use my powers for evil, but I will because I still have air-dry clay, so this is totally happening. Suck it, Mr. Mo. You're gonna be terrified or really confused as to why your wife spent 3 hours making a jigsaw puppet on a stick.
Yes, I would be happy to crunch those numbers. Just
Oh my God,
I'm
don't
very
give me
sorry.
ideas.
What?
I want to play a game.
Okay, well, I want to go home on time, so...
Your computer has been infected with a pornographic virus. In exactly...
Oh my God, this is the exact reason why I would never have an office job. Just imagine this being Mo, and this is exactly what would happen if placed in a cubicle. This is why I've never subjected myself to this. But just, take Jigsaw out and imagine Mo doing this, except I don't have the tech skills. But I would think about it.
25 seconds, Jeff, the hot IT guy who you totally have a crush on, will arrive at your desk to fix it. You must close all 517 pop-ups using the office's deadliest computer mouse.
Okay, it would be bedazzled and not thumbtacked, but it would be the most Liberace'd bedazzled mouse ever.
Clock is ticking, Janine. Make your choice.
Thank you guys very much. I wasn't expecting
The
anything.
frosting on Dan's birthday cake contains 29 tablespoons of koala urine. One for each year of his pathetic, meaningless life.
I laugh because I swear to goodness, the boys don't sing happy birthday. The youngest, most ferals are always super excited that there's just going to be cake. Honestly, like the song is, I was told there'd be cake. I was told there'd be cake. I was told there'd be cake. Can I get a slice real soon? I will add that. Let me put that on the handy dandy notebook of reminding Mo to do adulty stuff. It's a long thing for Steve's handy dandy notebook, but I'm more wordy. Oh, for the love of Cheetos. I got a whole pack of these. Okay, these are my super secret, also super special, ultra favorite pen. They're tools, they're tools, which it makes you giggle because it's a single entendre. But also my favorite pens. Not sure why I'm squirreling out on that, but you know, it's a cold, rainy day, so you will have to excuse the squirrelings. Clutches pearls. That's basically the song I made up because the boys are always like, we were told there would be cake. Like they're stoked as heck if anyone's having a birthday. In fact, my youngest most feral mark off youngest most feral story on the bingo card. But youngest most feral, and bless his heart, he didn't understand what was so wrong about this question. And I could understand how he would have logicked this out. But at my mother-in-law's funeral, he equated it to kind of like a wedding. So he asked when we were going to throw the bouquet for the next funeral, which I had to explain that we wouldn't be throwing any of the flowers for the next dead person. Not sure. I can understand how he got there. But I don't, because I wanted to feel like Fievel from oh gosh, American Tales. Also, because I have Petty Express, so it's sort of a shameless subliminal grift to remind people that Petty Express is back on. At least that's what I was thinking. I don't know if that actually goes through. But back onto the youngest, most feral, then he asked when we were going to have a funeral cake because he thinks that every, family get-together should include cake. I think it would be dark chocolate, but would that be too on the nose? Like a German chocolate? Because I could kind of get with him. I think every funeral needs a German chocolate cake. That being said, I did have to break the news to him that these were not currently funeral customs that anyone was aware. Darker hair. So I went ahead and retouched my roots. So my blonde is no longer showing. And I tend to go darker with the dye because it will fade out to a lighter bit, but and Mr. Mo really likes darker hair. He was of all the things I catfished Mr. Mo on, the fact that I was blonde was the most horrifying to him, which is odd. But yeah, that was the biggest secret, not the, former theater kid with the desire to cosplay, not the weird obsession with making stick puppets. No, it was the fact that I am actually naturally blonde that was most terrifying to him, which, it's kind of good considering he saw the ride and still bought the ticket. Contractually, he's obligated to like me.
What did you say?
Hold the elevator, please. Please, hold the elevator.
No.
Hold it, please, hold it.
Just hold
Burn it with holy fire.
Hold on, just hold it. Just hold some more. Hold it. Hold it. Hold, please. Hold for one more. Don't be rude, guys. Don't be rude. Nearly there. Nearly there. Nearly there. Nearly there. Don't let the door close. Just hold it.
I'm laughing laughing because there are days that I am this slow. So I would totally be this guy. Like, I'm gonna need you to just keep your arm there. I'm hobbling as fastly as I can while also snort laughing at my crippledness, which is how I tend to operate. So yeah, I could see me doing this is basically why I'm laughing.
Okay, one sec, just one sec. You're all very polite. I just need to, yep, there we go.
Okay, I will say that I desperately want, but am too proud and stubborn to get one of those, handy grabbers. Mostly because I look, I feel like I should still, regardless of limitations, work on keeping the mobility to pick things up off the floor, but I have been tempted, y'all. I mean, I have worked on my possible, maybe midichlorians are real. I mean, I have tried to work on my Force or Professor X powers. To that end, haven't developed telekinesis, but still totally want to be Jean Grey / the Phoenix if we're handing out mutant powers. But yeah, so basically I haven't gotten a grabber yet, but you can be damn sure if I do get one, it will be bedazzled.
You want me to get
I got
that?
it, Steve.
Look, this is not the fun part of the job, but we've been monitoring office productivity, and as you can see from this research, when your games increase, general productivity throughout the office actually decreases.
It'd be different if your games had some sort of work-related theme, like team building or workplace synergy.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Look,
sure.
all we're asking...
Oh God, this is when they put me in HR, not realizing that just because I'm a people watcher with good observational skills does not, equate to being able to tolerate humanity on a great basis. This is what happened to me. Y'all, I'm going to tell you a story about when my life turned upside down. And it all began with the HOA. So I decided, in the true fashion of Mo, trying to have my principles and live them to be a good example to my children, and having them bite me distinctly in the ass for trying to be, a functional adult. Because I mean, isn't that always the way? Like, you attempt to do something good for your life, and it always backfires exponentially into peopling, at least for me. So anyway, I decide that, I cannot bitch about my HOA unless I try to join and make it better. Now, I realize that this is a subtle mental Borg mind trick, because you think optimistically. Pollyanna Mo thinks that just using logic and sound reasoning and, pointing out basic logical, fallacies that they're using to spend my HOA dues on retardation would be, a helpful thing for the HOA. So I volunteer for the HOA, thinking they're going to put me on something, functional, something where my skills might apply, like the fact that I have experience with pool maintenance and can tell you that we, give you a plan, a budget, and why we need to work on these particular issues right now before they become bigger issues. I thought that's where I was going to be because logically that would make sense. Where did the HOA decide to put me? Community engagement. Now, I sat there and I looked at the, little HOA guy that put me on this, and I said, I'm here because my probation officer and my internal therapist has decided that I've become too reclusive. But I don't think you want me peopling with a great amount of people. It's not my strong suit. I would be much better in a more, supportive capacity, but not in interpersonal relations. So they said, hey, you're going to be working with parties. places I avoid, full of people that I don't really want to hang out with. I'm trying to tolerate to change the system and make it better. I don't really want to interact with you guys. But no, I was on parties. Let this be a lesson to you, HOAs. Maybe utilize the skills that are offered in a more logical and rational way, and you won't have sucktastic parties that don't work because I don't do peopling. Like I warned you. It was actually caveat emptor. I actually warned you. It was buyer beware, and I told you beware. But yet, you saw the ride, still bought a ticket, realizing whatever I think comes out of this mouth hole, whether you like it or not. I do try to warn people.
Is that you just, tone it down a little, just till corporate gets off our back, okay? What do you think?
Yeah, it's all of your legs have been chained together at the ankles. The keys to your shackles.
See, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about.
The keys, Jeff, to your shackles have been destroyed. Your only hope for escape is to saw off your own feet using the weapon under your chair.
Absolutely. Take a great leap forward into the void. Great leap forward into absurdity. The world's on fire, have a chuckle. Ooh, a flexible grabber. Ooh, I could goose Mr. Mo around corners. That should not be the first thing that pops into my mind. I feel sorry for Mr. Mo that is the first thing that came to my mind.
It's gonna be tough. But it's time for each of you to make a choice. Will you synergize and work together as a team, Karen, to free yourselves and spend the weekend at home with your families? Or be stuck inside the office for the third time this quarter?
That was actually really, really good. Okay, my sense of laughing at the absurd instead of wanting to start my own religion cult and take over everything to set the world right has been quenched for now. Like I said, this is why I shouldn't have any sort of power, because I do fall into these, well, let's laugh at the absurd, or let's destroy and make things right again. Yeah. Mark off video shenanigans. Yes. Sorry, I am trying to keep up with chat and everything. I thought bingo is going to be easy. I'll just bingo 8. Megan makes it look easy. She is on top of things, and I am working on it. So you have wig talk. You have squirrel, definitely squirrel. I have said for the love of Cheetos. Whiteboard of truth has been used, and tangentially it's the Kardashians' fault because Robert Kardashian did have tangential ties to the OJ case. So there you go. Ooh, interesting. Always. Oh, why would you do this? That is awful. I am pulling that up, Nick, and adding it to the rest of the clips that we will be playing later on, because rest assured, I've found more insanity clips that we can use. That is not the end of the insanidanity. We have got all of the sanities and insanities going on. Well, I don't know how this is something that is completely surprising to anyone, but apparently Washington Square Park's drug scene went from small-time weed dealers to a gang turf war with 2 celebrity kids dead. So, is anyone shocked that in New York City people are using the parks as drug drop-offs or not street legal pharmaceutical depositories? This seems like it's not a new phenomenon for New York. But apparently it is. I mean, I don't have a whole lot more to say about this other than it does look like the DEA is going to be stepping in and trying to put a kibosh on a lot of this drug activity. But it is kind of concerning, or a little bit, this is the way that the world works, that this hasn't been a step that's come to fruition or been acted on until wealthy, affluent people lost their children. Now, I don't mean to be crass about that. The loss of any life is devastating to that family. But why is it we're only seeing action now that 2 celebrity children have passed away? It's a little bit aggravating that that is what it takes sometimes. So, just don't do drugs, children. I mean, I understand the wacky tobacco is great and can be fun and make watching America or Team America World Police hysterical if used for good. But if you're using substances for the bad, or they're taking over your life, get help. It destroys so many lives. And I speak from personal experience. So, take a step back if the wacky tobacco or whatever other not street legal pharmaceutical has grabbed your attention and stolen your life away from you. Well, in a big shocker and kind of going against what we have been told. Now, I do know that Tucker Carlson broke this story, but I did want more independent people to have looked at it before I brought it up on Mornings with Mo, because it's going to be a hot button issue. Thomas Crooks apparently used they, them pronouns, had obsessions with political violence and muscle mommies, which is a fetish I didn't know existed until this morning, but I find it more disturbing than furries, which I don't know what that says about me, integral to my personality, but it does kind of confuse me. Thomas Crooks used they, them pronouns and posted threats of political violence and violent art on his secret social media accounts before he attempted his assassination of President Donald Trump, according to sources that shared suspect messages with the post. So these are things that were shared, and I do take that lens. I mean, take everything mainstream media is bringing, and by extension me, with a grain of salt. I mean, are we being fed a line is basically what I'm asking here, because it seems like as soon as we get a cover story that is immediately contradicted by internet and other sources that are verifiable. So honestly, here's the question. Because this is a genuine question to the CIA and Fed who has to watch this. Genuine question. But you do realize you now have a dedicated mass group of eyes on you. 4chan is a thing. And yet you continue to use MSM like we trust it. Now, I wanted to believe that the scary CIA people had a plan to hurt us like lemmings into the, rapture or the next creation of the Borg. But you continue to use old stratagems in new warfare. I am confused. Now, that being said, just based on observational skills, there is no time in which a regime or dogma or zeitgeist is more dangerous than when it is being transitioned into a new school of thought. So I know I don't bring up my political stuff that much, but I do think that the turning of the tides between the old paradigm of neocon and neoliberal to this new, more populist zeitgeist on both left and right is something that the powers that be have not anticipated or have not gotten their mind around yet. The things that they used to use to divide us aren't working as well. Too many people are seeing through it. That's just my general thoughts. I tend to muse about these things at 3 a.m. if you wonder what I'm doing. let's get back to the article. Now, the lone sniper who grazed Trump in the ear, killed a beloved firefighter, and critically wounded 2 other Trump supporters, was also apparently a muscle mommy fetishist and repeatedly searched out videos of female bodybuilders and muscular, good old 1984 Eastern German women. I bet he watched Junior a lot. You know that movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger when he gets pregnant? I bet he watched that a lot for all sorts of icky reasons. Why does my mind go there? Now, Crooks also had 2 possible accounts on DeviantArt, a fan site or a site that hosts fan arts and has become notorious for its community of furries. Well, that seems like something that would give my computer gonorrhea, but I'm still tempted to go there. People who identify as anthropomorphized animal characters and or are attracted to them sexually. Now, one of the DeviantArt accounts linked to Crooks shared just one post, a repost of a towering muscular female bodybuilder and a slight man in his underwear. And we even have the picture. I don't get this at all. I look, if this is your jam, no shame in your game. I mean, let your freak fly. It's just not something I would ever be into. Now, his early online presence when he would have been in high school was almost exclusively pro-Trump, while he also made a number of violently anti-Semitic comments along with racist remarks about Hispanic immigrants. I always believed being patriotic was lining up a bunch of socialist Nick Recato would spikes in this particular instant. And threatened to use a long style force multiplier to shuffle them off this mortal coil, if you will. So he has had, a history of posting politically very violent posts, regardless on which side he tends to be affiliated with at that moment. He seems to have an outright propensity to kind of switch on to his dark side, if you will. Now, he also described in detail how he would use, a long style force multiplier against a crowd of political opponents, frequently quoting the line, "The only true political power comes from the barrel of a gun," from a Chinese communist dictator, Mao. Okay, when you're going to Mao for life goals, please remember that man took the lives of almost 1 billion of his own people because he's insane. He's responsible for more human carnage than any other person. Just get better heroes. Like, if you have Kevin Spacey for a hero, get better heroes. Maybe if you have Mao as a hero, maybe not. Maybe pick better heroes. So it does look like a lot of different and contradictory information is coming out versus what we are hearing from our security community. Because according to Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, this was a big nothing burger. That being said, I haven't dug deeply into this stuff because this is a mainly non-political morning show. I tend to stay away from these things just because I don't want to become a political show. So I know it's tempting for me to add my 2 cents because I'm a political geek. That being said, I encourage you to look at the information that is available from different sources if you want to, make an educated, decision or decide where you stand on this. My goal is never to tell you guys how to think, is to give you guys, the information that will let you figure out for yourself what you think. I'm not a priest or a preacher. I'm not going to tell y'all what to think. Now, I have no idea what Bitcoin does, is, or how one even farms it. I'm guessing there are no actual hoes or spades involved. But apparently, Bitcoin has dropped below $92,000 and erased all of its gains for 2025. Now, I do wonder if this is going to mean instability in the crypto market. Now, again, to me, the crypto market equals Harry Potter Matrix magic. I have no idea what crypto means. I am never going to sponsor a crypto. I can't figure out what the hell a crypto is. Yes. Well, I'll give you, I usually give hints to what I think. So I don't exactly know what this means, but this could lead to economic ripple effects. I may not be smart about the stock market or understand all the things that I'm trying to learn about being a responsible 401k adult. I'm trying to learn it, but I don't get. I don't get it. So I know there's going to be people to which this is very important news, and people like me that are going to be like, "Oh, the internet Harry Potter magic has fizzled." So there you go. If you are someone who is big in Bitcoin, I encourage you to go to more knowledgeable sources about the Matrix Harry Potter world and get your information from them. But it does look like maybe it's, being a consummate surefire for wealth growth is a little less stable than we have kind of thought for a while. So it was an interesting headline, more in that bigger picture idea for me, because, a lot of people have invested in cryptocurrency and seem to understand it. And it does underpin a good deal of our financial markets now. This could have a ripple. I'm not an economist, but it could. I mean, if we ever figure out what's going on. Now, this was almost going to go in absurd news or WTF daily, but we already have enough WTF daily. And as much as I could mock this, this is actually a step forward for a rather fundamental, kind of interpretation of, or a legalistic church, a very by the books church and religious affiliation to loosen the rules based on contemporary culture is something that, the LDS church has kind of struggled with, given their stance on same-sex marriage and several other things. So it does show that they are capable of making at least small changes and concessions to modernity, at least for their members. Mormon women are becoming obsessed over a skimpier version of their sacred temple garments, the magic underwear, if you're trying to be derogatory, which I'm actually not. I try to understand that everyone's religious beliefs are deeply held and sacred to them, and try not to make fun of things beyond my own personal religious beliefs. The recovering Catholic jokes there. Now, I will say that this does allow LDS women to have access to more comfortable, breathable undergarments. For a long time, these sacred temple garments were made only of polyester. They were very tight and constricting and were leading to female hygiene health issues for a lot of very devout LDS women. So I am glad that they were able to make concessions and really allow maybe women to have more control and more autonomy with their garment choice, because the garments have to cover your sacred temple wear. So it is interesting to see that they have been kind of pulled into offering cotton, silk, and other more breathable fabrics and more modern styles. And, for what it's worth, I'm glad that the women are getting more choices. LDS might not be a faith that I would ever pick for myself, but if this allows people that are deeply, adherent to their faith be a little bit more comfortable, it's no skin off my behind. And I'm glad for them. That being said, I do follow this particular creator. She is an ex-Mormon, and during the Lori Vallow case, she was really good at explaining sort of inner workings of the LDS Church without trying to be too cynical. I mean, she did bring up her sort of disagreements with the churches and why she left, but basically did give kind of a clear look. Now, a lot of it still goes beyond my head, but she is a good source of information, but she does have that, particular lens she sees and gives information through. But I do recommend her. If you are wanting to learn more about it, maybe you're on the outside, she is a good source of knowledge, but I do give the caveat that she is as a former member. So she does kind of give it straight without maybe the hype, but, might not be as towing the line. But there you go. I am glad that they are able to get more comfortable, get less, yes. I'm glad for them. I think it's a good thing. Again, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't affect my life. So I'm just happy that people are getting more choices. Well, and someone that I think should maybe shut his damn pie hole, this incredible douche canoe. Danny Masterson has, said that Scientology should not have been part of his SA trial, and the judge was biased. Evidence of force was marginal at best, a petition claims of his alleged assaults. Now, he has been adjudicated guilty, and quite frankly, I find him trying to blame a religion or religious bias a little bit rich, considering yes, we can mark it's the Kardashians' fault. Yeah, that was incredibly gross in my opinion. Again, but it's Hollywood. And I don't think that you have people whose job is to subsume themselves into someone else's perspective, meaning that maybe they haven't taken the time or haven't done the inner work to figure out their own perspective, which is why they are so vapid and self-absorbed and cling to Scientology and, liberalism and preaching about global warming while flying in jets. I mean, there has to be some fundamental personality defect that allows for this magnitude of hypocrisy, but also this ability to subsume your natural base personality into the identity of someone else. I would find that unless you've taken the real hard work to actually figure out your own personality, you're basically, a freak. Allegedly in Minecraft, this is just my human observational powers, but that's kind of how I've diagnosed everyone in Hollywood. Interesting talent to be able to quickly assess and give, a full perspective in another person's view, but figuring out who you really are has to be kind of difficult if that's your superpower. If you can assume any perspective and any sort of point of view, what is the one that you really cherish? I mean, it's deeply corrupt and gross and corroditated. So I imagine there's all sorts of personality defects and quirks and superpowers. Again, I mean, that is a talent. To be able to convincingly take me out of reality and make me believe in a character is a talent. But I'm not going to trust you on geopolitical stuff, okay? Okay, Leonardo DiCaprio? I'm not going to listen to you about, smart people stuff unless you have smart people credentials or life experience. And since your life experience is acting out something that, writers have given you, I kind of don't trust you. Well, Danny Masterson wants his 2023 SA convictions and 30-year prison sentence overturned because of an allegedly lousy defense lawyer, a biased judge, and a smearing of Scientology practices and policies by prosecutors. Now, I will tell you that you guys are law nerds, and we know that a defense lawyer can be functionally asleep, and that can still count as effective counsel. So I don't think he's going to get away with the lack of, competent representation unless he has clear receipts on that. Now, as for a biased judge, again, appellate wise, the appeals court goes in, giving judges wide latitude. So I don't see that coming to fruition. Now, he might have something as far as his civil rights being impugned by bringing his religion in. But as a not lawyer, that's the only functional appellate issue of those three that I find there. So do take time to go to other law tubers that are actual functional lawyers to get an actual lawful law view of this case. But I don't foresee this appeal working based on the logic I just employed, but I'm not a lawyer, so there might be statutory loopholes and things that I'm not, thinking of because not having legal knowledge is my blind spot. Now, in fact, a new trial-seeking habeas corpus petition filed today with the appeals court once again specifically points the finger at the former Scientologist and church critic Leah Remini for Masterson's downfall. Oh, well, that's great. Let's bring, the King of Queens chicks into this. Now, the currently incarcerated Masterson and his latest attorney, Eric S. Malthop, go to this onto state that any of the SAs, the evidence of force was marginal at best, declaring the verdict and subsequent stint in the joint to be a major miscarriage of justice. Because of how evidence was not shown or heard by the jury in his second trial, that 70s show star continues to insist that he's totally innocent. Now, I will put the caveat out that I didn't cover this case, so if you guys want to do this trial, and then I might have a more firm opinion on it or a more firm kind of hot take on it, I'm open to doing that. That being said, I don't have a dog in this fight. I didn't watch the trial, so I don't know what I feel about this. But if it's something you guys are interested in, I'd be willing to look at his trial. But it does make me intrigued. I mean, these motions don't come out of nowhere. There is strategy involved. Even the worst Sarah Boone-esque, Owens lawyer does employ their own level, their own strategy to things. So these have to be the strongest things they find appealable. And maybe the case was a lot of bashing Scientology. I just didn't watch it to know. But it is intriguing enough that I pulled up the headline and am willing to take a look at this trial and kind of see what I think. I mean, he is correct that, bringing someone's religion into something might be, civil rights worthy issue. I'm just not up to date enough about the information in this case to really have a hot take on it, but it does look like he is going for an appeal and he might have a chance. I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I do think it's a long shot. Bronca says appeals are for losers. Now, there's no easy way to segue to this other than Hollyweird is gonna Hollyweird. But we might get a live action Zelda from it that doesn't suck. I wouldn't hold my breath that they're not going to try to shove a la Critical Drinker the message into it. But, I mean, first glance it looks okay and not hideodorous. Well, the Legend of Zelda creator Shigeru Miyamoto is teasing the live-action film adaptation of the 1986 video game, which is now in production. Miyamoto posted first-look images from the film on Nintendo's X account on Monday. "This is Miyamoto. We have officially begun filming the live-action movie adaptation, Legend of Zelda, in the magnificent great outdoors, together with Bo Braxton, who plays Zelda, and Benjamin Evan Arnsworth, who plays Link." Now, having never played this particular video game, as with all video games, I have no idea who these people are, but rest assured that the nerd in Mo will be looking up the deep lore and 3-hour videos to get all the lore on this particular video game. I know the deep lore in BioShock, Halo, all games I don't like to play, but I love the story behind them. So I will watch in-depth 5-hour videos on like the Flood just to kind of get what the backstory is. That being said, I suck out loud at hand-eye controller dexterity. I am in fact that kid in Duck Hunt that was this close to the TV. So I absolutely suck out loud in it, but I attempt. That, I mean, it does. Oh, we're getting a big storm. So if I do go out, it's not because I wanted to leave you. It's because we are apparently back to tornado season in rural Indiana. Who'd have guessed? It's like they always say, if you don't like the weather in Indiana, wait 10 minutes, it will change. I do like how that's a kind of colloquialism for every locality, in that every locality has kind of similar views. It does interest me on a really kind of deeply observational, wow, this is a common trait amongst all of us humans. Things I think about in depth. Well, Indiana has, is fighting for its spot as the Florida of the Midwest in a case that is bound to be a big trial and a big kerfuffle and all of, well, just the why. An Indiana homeowner has been charged in the death of a mom of 4 that he gunned down after arriving at the wrong home for a house cleaning job. Why does he look like he plays a bad character in everything he does? He was on Desperate Housewives. He was married to the redhead chick. But he always plays kind of a douchey yuppie. His name escapes me, but he looks somewhat like that. Now, if I were playing this game with my mother, she would be able to tell me his IMDb off the top of her head. Like, this woman's superpower, I will never understand it. In that she can like remember every actor and Kevin Bacon to 7 squared. I am in awe of her all the time with that. Back to the story and away from the squirrels. Now, an Indiana homeowner has been hit with manslaughter charges for allegedly shooting a mother of 4 dead on his doorstep after she had arrived at the wrong house for a cleaning job, according to authorities and court documents. Kurt Anderson, 62, was arrested and booked on 1 count of voluntary manslaughter for the taking red rum of Maria Florina Rios Perez. Boone County prosecutor Kent Eastwood told media at a press conference on Monday. Now, the charge against Anderson follows a comprehensive evaluation that found that the homeowner's actions were not protected by the state's stand your ground law, according to Easton. Once we had all the information in front of us and we looked at the law, once we looked at the case law, it became clear what the appropriate way to proceed in this case was, he told reporters. When asked if it was difficult to navigate the decision to charge Anderson, the prosecutor said that the choice was clear. Honestly, it wasn't. I hate to sound cavalier about this, but it wasn't a hard decision, Eastwood said. Perez, 32, lost her life in Indianapolis suburb of Whitestone on the morning of November 5th after trying to get into the wrong house using keys she and her husband had been given for a cleaning job through their housekeeping business. Now, the mom believed that the sprawling home in Whitestown was the new model home that she and her husband had been hired to clean. The couple even checked the address on the map app twice and circled the neighborhood to make sure that they were at the right spot, according to a police report. But as they tried to get the keys into the keyhole, a single bullet whizzed through the door and hit Perez. When Whitestone Metropolitan Police arrived at the home for a call of robbery in progress, they discovered her lying in a large pool of blood on the front porch. The gunshot came from inside the house, according to Whitestown Police Captain John Jerkosh, Wednesday. Now, the front door never opened, and Anderson allegedly shot through the door, striking Perez in the head as she stood next to her husband, according to local news WRTV. Now, the officers discovered that Perez's husband, Mauricio Vasquez, was kneeling and holding his wife's body. That's how they came upon this scene. So, my heart goes out to not only this husband, but to the first responders that have to be involved. Look, we know that there's bad first responders, bad cops, there are dickholes everywhere. But let's say for the good ones, I can't imagine the mental strain, the pain that you have to take on in order to help people and be involved in these most harrowing, most tragic moments of their lives. Now, she was pronounced dead on the scene, and an autopsy determined that she had passed away of a single gunshot wound to the head. Now, Anderson told police that he had woken up hearing something and had only gotten a few hours of sleep the previous evening. He heard a commotion at the door and recalled hearing intensified sounds of some type of key or tool being used on the door, according to documents. And yeah, this doesn't really cover the stand your ground. The threat has to be imminent. I don't know how you make the defense that a person standing outside your barrier, regardless of the use of a tool or a key, could be considered a threat so imminent that you would need to use deadly force. It's going to all boil down to the reasonableness. Would 9 out of 10 people given the same situation behave in a similar way? And I can tell you for one, I don't know that simply having the threat of someone making imminent access into my house would be enough. I think they would have to step over my threshold. In my personal opinion, in Minecraft and various other fictional places like Australia, allegedly in Minecraft. Now, again, did he use a Ring doorbell camera? Was he able, because it seems fairly fortuitous to be able to make a headshot through a door. Now, there does seem to be a window near or on the front door. But was there other ways? Because, if you think about where that window is placed, he would have to at least, be looking out kind of like, Wilson to make an aim. So you were so terrified that you were in imminent danger that you gave possible access to your face, to where you are, your locational data, and, a wide open target. You were so afraid that you needed to add with deadly force, yet you gave away your position and possibly gave these deadly threats, potentially, as you're wanting me to believe, a visible bead on you, possibly, and knowledge that you're there. I mean, if they were burglars, you've given them foreknowledge that they might be tangling with someone inside the home, which might change their trajectory in the crime. So why doesn't anyone think these through to the pedantic degree I do? To be very, very fair, this, I am gifted the luxury to literally, armchair quarterback this. Quite literally, I am in a recliner. I'm turning my heat on because the rain is intensifying. But I will be interested to see the upcoming facts. Like all trials, he is innocent until presumed, or until adjudicated guilty, until presumed. But it's all going to come down to that reasonableness. Can he make a narrative? Can his defense attorney sufficiently craft and connect with the jury in a way that this becomes a reasonable action? Because I can tell you right now, in my personal opinion, as a juror, with the facts that I have right now, and I'm willing to change my mind, it does not seem reasonable. And that's what he's going to be fighting against. Now, this might be something that Bronca takes up. It's clearly a case that's down his alley. So I do pull headlines knowing that they're kind of down some of specific people's in LawTube's alley, because, I might not always or agree with their perspectives, but I do enjoy their very specialized kind of knowledge and opinions on these. Whether I agree with them or not, I do enjoy the logic they employ and learning how they think. Y'all are so lucky I use my powers for good. Can you imagine with the advanced peopling that I do, the deep desire to understand everyone's perspective? I could use my powers for evil. Frankly, it's lucky I get sidetracked with squirrels and honestly am too lazy to run a cult. Y'all benefit greatly from general lack of motivation on my part. I couldn't be, an ultimate supervillain, because by Wednesday I'd be like, oh God, I have to do like evil all the time. Well, I mean, score one for the toe, as our friend Max would say, or score another one for the toe. As Tokyo embraces a 4-day work week to fight death by overwork, Japan's new prime minister just called a 3 a.m. meeting. I will say that I have always admired, let's be real, the sort of stereotypical kind of caricature of the Japanese work ethic, the very dedicated and devoted, kind of to even the smallest task. I have always wanted to have within me the ability to maintain focus, to be one of these people that could achieve that. But that's a lot of work, y'all. Well, when it comes to a future of work, Japan has been caught in a tug of war. Tokyo officials are pushing for a 4-day work week, hoping that the shorter schedule will increase the nation's notoriously punishing work culture and curb kariashi, which translates to death from overwork. Now, Japan is facing serious demographic issues. Basically, they are looking hard at the numbers and realizing if they don't, find a way for their citizens to maintain and achieve a sufficient work-life balance to involve or to, facilitate the creation of family life, they are looking at a severe population declination in the next several generations. So this is a push in the right direction, I think, but that is totally from my perspective as a underachiever, achieving slacker, and a person who kind of, when given the choice between motherhood and, a profession, wholeheartedly chose motherhood. So I can see that, this is a bit of a culture change that may or may not fly. The whole nation has to take on this change in focus. And I don't know, it's really hard to change kind of something that's been very important to a national identity on a dime or within a generation. Now, that being said, we have noticed that Gen Z outcries for radical governmental change has been on the rise from Madagascar and I think Indochina to recently Mexico. So I don't have the knowledge. I'm sure Max is going to have something to say about this to give you whether this is a good work or whether this, sort of thought pattern is too ingrained in the zeitgeist to be excised, just with a 4-day weekend or a 4-day week. I don't know, but it does seem like at least the government is aware of the problem. And you have to start with acknowledging a problem exists. As much as I like to dog on all governments being suck ass, I will give credit to governments that at least can identify where problems are and work for a solution, regardless of whether I think it's a good or bad one. The ability to identify the problem and try to solve it at least gives me, I will at least begrudgingly respect that from a government. Whether I think that, a centralized government is the most effective way and most economical and effective way to deliver said goods from the government is a totally other question. But good luck. I hope you embrace the 4-day, embrace some of American slacker culture. But not to the point that you become holed up in your house, because Japan does have a big problem with people who might have catted too close to the sun. When you are surrounded by trash and have not talked to a human in a year, okay, that is when even the Pope of inside catting, Mo, the person that has to force herself to do any interactioning with people, will tell you to go out and touch grass. So balance. Can we find a balance? Could we find a happy medium? I love us as a species. We are absurd to the point of hilarity in that if there is ever a choice to just take a logical happy medium, we will automatically refuse it for radical ideas on either side. Because we just could not function like logical creatures at any point. We are infinitely fascinating and frustrating. Well, another murder case that will potentially be a pretty big trial coming up, is a double homicide involving a married couple found inside their waterfront home after a chilling 911 call, as police have arrested a suspect that happens to be one of their close friends. A married couple were shot down inside their waterfront home in Maryland after a friend allegedly broke in and took their lives, according to police. Now, the bodies of Jenna Hayes, 54, and her husband William, 56, were discovered inside their home in Pasadena, Maryland on Sunday afternoon. Now, police allege that 61-year-old Anthony Luis Reyes, a business associate who also knew the couple personally, ambushed the couple in a horrific attack. He is now facing charges of both first and second-degree murder. Now, investigators said a woman called 911 at around 2 p.m. on Sunday, and dispatchers could hear her pleading with a man she referred to as Tony not to take her life. Now, the witness said he was arguing with a man referred to as Charlie, the same nickname that Willie went by, about money before gunshots could be heard over the call. Now, Reyes allegedly led police on a high-stakes pursuit following the shooting, in which police say he assaulted an officer before he was eventually taken into custody. I'm going to need the officer who got their ass kicked by Richard Dreyfuss's body double to come and explain himself to the front of the class. Because Jaws could take Richard Dreyfuss out. Now, police believe that the couple were taken out in a targeted and premeditated attack, but have not released any details as of yet about a potential motive. Now, given the fact that I don't think you need to be Sherlock Holmes to figure out a motive in this case, you don't even need to be Steve from Blue's Clues. It goes down to the oldest motivation in the books, one of them, greed, money. I mean, just given the basic context clues that we were given about the, fight being about money and then force multiplier shots being heard, I don't think we need to, dig too deep. But I do think that there is a sort of trap there. That could be primary motivation, but there are always multifactorial reasons we do things. So while that's a very surface look, I look forward to the trial to maybe see if the state can piece together evidence that might give us a clue to his state of mind. Now, in court documents, police revealed that apparently the couple and the suspect had a verbal dispute over money that was recorded in the 911 call. This isn't something that was random. We do believe the person was here for that purpose, according to Lieutenant A.J. Gardner from Anne Arundel County. Arundel? Look, some county that is not Canton in Massachusetts. Now, the lieutenant did praise the woman's 911 call, saying it helped officers quickly piece together what had happened inside the home. When it comes to a 911 call, that's actually fantastic. Possibly don't be stoked out by recording someone's final moments, even if it's great evidence. I mean, it's about the best evidence you can get. Still, Oh, thank you, Flux. Anne Arundel. I mean, Indiana's not one to talk. We have Van Buren and all sorts of ridiculous county names, but Anne Arundel. I have questions. But I mean, I kind of feel like this is yay feminist. Like in a legitimate way, because usually I make fun of feminism. But I mean, what a circles and roundabouts kind of turn for Massachusetts. They once burned women at the stakes, and now they name counties after them. The past was the worst, but incrementally humanity does get better, even if we stumble. Sometimes, allegedly. So I did pull this because this has basically everything that court TV and, law and crime and true crimers like us really like to latch on to. We have, an interesting story. I'm already hooked with, okay, was money the only reason? Do we have anything else that could have made him mad? So the motivation, what happened, along with the sensationalism of, and it is morbid, it's dark, but the possible ability to hear, the concrete audio evidence of this crime happening is not something that you get in every case. So this is going to be a long time coming. As we know, justice definitely works slowly. But, like God's mill runs relentlessly. So when this trial does come to fruition, it's definitely one that, I want to keep an eye on because it looks like it has everything to be a really interesting trial for at least me. And hopefully you guys. Well, in actual serious, not that red rum is not serious, but in internationally serious news, bust out the Hague, things might get a little bit Nurembergy in here. It looks like Bangladesh's ousted leader, Sheikh Hasina, has been sentenced to, shuffle off this mortal coil after crimes against humanity conviction. Now, I am not at all an expert in Bangladesh or Bangladeshi politics. I do happen to love watching the History of Everything podcast, but that in no way makes me an expert, worthy of giving you guys a hot take on this. But this is definitely big, big news. It's been a long time since we've had to deal as a global community with crimes against humanity in, such a blatant way. I know that there are, I'm sure, other conflicts in which we could assign this, Burkina Faso, Sudan. So there are a lot of places where absolutely fantastic displays of, inhumanity are going on. But what is going to be the international community's sort of response to this? I love him. He's great. I feel smarter after it. And Kiwi Green, you know more about it than me. But it is going to be interesting. So I caveat all that to tell you that I will read the article, but I don't have any particular hot takes about Bangladesh. Sheikh Hasina, the ousted Prime Minister of Bangladesh, has been sentenced to death after being found guilty of crimes against humanity for the violent suppression of student-led protests last year that led to the collapse of her government. Now, a panel of 3 judges from the International Crimes Tribunal, Bangladesh's Domestic War Crimes Court, delivered their verdict Monday, ruling that Hasina was responsible for inciting hundreds of extrajudicial unalivings carried out by law enforcement. Now, Hasina has been staying in self-imposed exile in India's capital of New Delhi since August of 2024, after student protesters forced her out of the Awami League political party, which I guess was her party, out of power. Now, she was not present at the court in Dhaka during this crimes against humanity trial. So she was tried in absentia. So I don't know if that will have any bearing on, other world leaders. Is India going to want to harbor her now that she has this designation, seeing as it's only internal to Bangladesh? Is there going to be extradition talks? I mean, this is something that is possibly going to be a big global issue, or might simply be kind of just swept aside just because we're in a 24-hour news cycle. I never know which stories are going to get big and which are going to be basically just subsumed in the 24-hour news cycle. But this is intriguing enough, just given its all of its international implications. That it was worth pulling it, even if I maybe don't have a knowledge base in it. Now, the former prime minister faced 5 charges primarily related to inciting the murder of protesters, ordering that demonstrators should be hanged, and ordering the use of lethal weapons along with drones and helicopters to suppress the unrest. Now, she has long denied these charges. The courtroom where victims' families were present burst into applause as the judges delivered their sentence. Sheikh Hasina committed crimes against humanity by her incitement, order, and failure to take punitive measures, one judge said as he delivered the verdict. It was crystal clear that she expressed her incitement to the activists of her party, and furthermore, she expressed and ordered to kill and eliminate the protesting students, the judges said. Now, for a nation that's still reeling from the popular revolt that ousted her, the verdict represents a stunning culmination. For many, it offers judicial validation for the uprising fueled by years of simmering anger against creeping authoritarianism that defined her party, not just her, but her party going back to her father. the creeping authoritarianism was always somewhat present in her political party, just on the sort of overview that I got from the history of everything. So this is not a new problem, but eventually populists will get tired of this, and students and can be radicalized. Mao did teach us that. Now, the verdict's impact is also being felt in New Delhi. Bangladesh's interim government has formally demanded the extradition of its former leader, but India thus far has remained silent on that request. New Delhi on Monday said it would engage constructively with all stakeholders, which is a very diplomatic, and we will do what's politically advantageous for India, depending on where, each side aligns and what we can get out of what's most beneficial from us. But, that's kind of every government, so no shame on New Delhi. As a close neighbor, India remains committed to the best interests of the people of Bangladesh, including peace, democracy, inclusion, and stability in that country, India's Minister for External Affairs said in a statement. Now, what began as peaceful student demonstration over civil service job quotas transformed into a national push for Hassana's resignation. The turning point was when the government crackdown may have killed up to 1,400 people. According to the UN's Human Rights Office, up to 25,000 were also injured, according to those reports. So this is definitely going to be something that Bangladesh is going to have to wrestle with, and India is going to have to decide about. And for anyone who's paid attention to global events, in the last 18 months, India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh are kind of always in shenanigans. So it's a powder keg over there, and it wouldn't take much to cause it to explode, in my personal opinion. So hopefully they can come to a resolution that doesn't cause increased turmoil, loss of life, because anywhere with this great a loss of life, it's a detriment to all of us in humanity, whether we feel the effects in our daily life or not. At least that's my belief. I don't like the slaughter. So if we could just stop doing that as a humanity, would that be great? Well, enough of the serious questions in life. Now to the headlines that make us question, or not question, why aliens have not seen fit to share wonderful technology with us. In our headlines, daily WTF. Let's bring it on. Let's laugh at the absurdity at the, Walmart rapture that we are encountering in 2025.
The G-Keeped scrolls, thou glowing shrine of thirst traps, scams, and dollar signs. We chant in tones both grim and low, for virtue fled a long time ago. Kyrie eleison, Christe descendat, final form Jesus return in wrath. With six-pack glistening, sword in hand, he cometh swift to cleanse the land.
I thought that we had defeated these in the late 80s, that salad and Jell-O would never again darken culinary doorsteps, but apparently gelatin dishes are back on the menu, boys. And I'm scared. I am afeared. There were unholy combinations that were tolerated in the 70s. I am only guessing due to copious amounts of Quaaludes, and I, for one, say, can we give this up pre-Lent? Can we stop this travesty from happening again? Well, the humble Jell-O salad and its savory ancestor, aspic, are shaking up American kitchens once again, even getting a glossy fine dining revival. Why? For the love of God, why? Look, I don't understand why people eat oysters. It seems like swallowing a sea booger, but I let you do it. But I draw the line at bringing back Jell-O salads. What is wrong with this? Why? Now, aspic originated in medieval kitchens as a way to preserve meat using collagen-rich broths that solidified into a savory jelly. It later evolved into mid-century American status symbols thanks to Jell-O molds. By the 70s, it had fallen out of fashion, mostly remembered as an odd mix of mayonnaise, olives, and hot dogs suspended in Jell-O for whatever nebulous fucking reason. And you can go ahead and mark up nebulous fuck on your bingo cards. In the so I'm wrong. Apparently this was a 1950s thing. I'm sorry to have maligned you. 1970s. I can only imagine that deprivation and trauma from the Great Depression was what led to Jell-O salad and not Quaaludes in the 70s. Well, according to, current people, joining this new gelatin craze, there's a fascination with aspics and gelid salads mirrors the revival of homemade bone broth and cooking with beef tallow. It's a return to texture, thrift, and whole ingredient techniques. My paternal grandmother made this for every holiday meal. Hers had green peas in it. It was a popular dish, and I always remember looking at it and thinking, it's interesting to look at. Who the hell puts peas and shrimp in Jell-O? Stop it. Don't. No. I hated it, another person said. Now, some commenters actually are remembering these atrocities to humanity's palates fondly. I loved my mom's, another user wrote. She made hers with V8 juice, beef consomme, a little bit of Worcestershire sauce, and a variety of green vegetables, chopped zucchini, green onions, green pepper, and celery. No, that's child abuse. Stop it. Now home cooks are reviving the trend on social media. They're sharing Jell-O salads studded with marshmallows and fruit, savory jelly concoctions packed with tomatoes, crab meat, clams, olives, and even beef tongue. Okay, when I am president or empress, whichever, path I go down, I'm outlawing this. Like, you want to go to Gitmo, bring some Jell-O salad. That's the only way you're going to get to Gitmo, or if you're an ultra douchebag and I just can't stand you. Look, I'll be totally transparent. It's going to be punitive and super judicial. But if you annoy me enough or you're incompetent enough, I'm sending you to Gitmo. Again, choose wisely when you choose Mo for president. Now, millennials and Gen Zs are rediscovering so-called grandma foods such as meatloafs, casserole, and Spam. The wave of nostalgia has even made room for gelatin-based food art trending across TikTok, Instagram, and Pinterest. No. Now look, I don't plea across the bounds of religion, creed, ethnicity, and general just everything that divides us. But I think possibly the one thing that could, in fact, unite humanity is stopping Jell-O. Do not give Jell-O a chance. Give peace a chance. Unite humanity without, having to resort to an alien invasion. Just say no to Jell-O salad. I do love me some meatloaf, though. But just say no to Jell-O salad. Well, I mean, Final Form Jesus sort of had a part in this, in that he and our Heavenly Father did create her rack. You're welcome, male, smallish male contingent of chat. I do look out for you. A stunning fan has been identified after going viral at a Georgia-Texas game. A female Georgia fan had the internet buzzing when she was shown on an ESPN broadcast during Saturday's 35-10 win over Texas. The beautiful brunette who was holding red pom-poms. Sure, I'm sure it's the pom-poms everyone was focusing on, not the rack of Georgia. Sure, it was the pom-poms that got everyone excited, not them big old yitties. Anyway, look, I can enjoy a pair even if I have a pair at home, in a jar. Now, apparently, she has been identified as Harley, and her TikTok, handle has gone viral. She appears to be a freshman at Georgia, as recent videos show her sporting Bulldogs gear in her dorm room. She also shared a video in support of the Bulldogs ahead of Saturday's clash. "Go Dogs beat Texas," she captioned. Yeah, I see that we were scoping out the pom-poms. You're welcome, male chat members, all two of you. Now, the viral of this, the viral tweet and her identity has gone viral for two very front and center reasons that you don't need to be Sherlock Holmes to figure out. And I say, don't hate the player, hate the game, ma'am. Use those boobs for the short and, nothing, nature's green, or nature's gold is green and nothing gold can stay. Take it from a chick who used to have those. Enjoy the perkiness while it lasts. Use your superpower and rack of superpower right now while you can, because once them things see children in gravity, well, let's just say they're going to have to lower the body cam. So I say, ma'am, take care and utilize your perky power while it lasts. No shame in that game. Don't hate the player. Well, injustice, I guess. The man who groped Ariana Grande at the Wicked for Good premiere has been sentenced to prison. So you can grope Ariana Grande and get a harsh punishment, but a chick runs over 3 people and YOLO to 3 to 9 years. Make it make sense, humanity. The man who was caught on camera rushing and grabbing Ariana Grande, all 87 pounds of her. Ma'am, I get it. Look, fat, skinny, short, tall, we all have body insecurities. So I'm not trying to pick on yours. But madam, please, and I say this not as a body shamer, but as someone who legitimately thinks you look scary skinny, please eat some peanut butter, get some caloric density into your life. And I get it. Like, I struggle with eating when I'm anxious. Now used to be that I would feed my mouth whole when I was anxious. So I get it's a weird thing to deal with when, your anxiety reactions change. But for the love of all that is holy, could you eat a sandwich? You look unhealthy. And I don't generally care about adult pretenders, but when you see someone looking so abjectly physically unwell, my heart goes out to them. So whatever you're struggling with that's causing you to have these struggles, get it under control. Hopefully she has someone in her life that, can put her on the right path, because she is talented, even if she annoys the ever-living shit out of me with her baby girl voice. Look, she's not my cup of tea. That doesn't mean I want her cup of tea to break. Now, on Monday, BBC News reported that influencer Johnson Wen, 26, was found guilty of being a public nuisance in a Singaporean court and sentenced to 9 days in prison. Yeah, I wouldn't try crime in Singapore. I mean, did anyone not watch, Claire Danes and Broke Down Castles? I mean, I think that scared me from doing crime in general, but especially in, any sort of Malaysian country. And howdy, Dan. Now, under Singaporean law, Wen could have been jailed for up to 3 months and fined up to $200, so equivalent in American with the currency exchange would be $1,537. Now, Wen is an Australian influencer that goes by Pajama Man, and he sparked outrage at the November 13th premiere for the Wicked sequel when he jumped over the barricade and rushed the red, or in this case, yellow carpet. Now, Grande was walking hand in hand with fellow consummate weirdo. Look, I haven't watched the movie. This chick is the weirdest effing human alive. Like, you want to, like, things that scare me, people that legitimately would terrify Mo, that chick is she is an alien, and she likes to, I don't know if anyone else watched the interviews for this movie where Ariana and crazy bald chick were like touching and affirmating each other. Look, it's a whole ball of crazy that normally I love crazy. Like, the crazier the better. I want to study it. I would like to, get into the mindset. But y'all, those two together are a nexus of weird that made a black hole in subjective reality change my mind. It is rare that someone's weirdness or quirkiness or just, random inability to human genuinely throws me off. But these two terrify the ever-living F out of me. That being said, I do want to still watch the movie. But yeah, those two are hella weird, and not like the good weird that I want to study and dissect a bit like Hannibal Lecter, but like the weird, like, am I going to be subject to a cult or a sacrifice of vegan tofu? I don't know that I could comprehend the level of cray that these two create. So there you go. But the guy who did it is apparently in Singaporean jail, so possibly don't try to bum rush Ariana Grande in Singapore. It's the things you learn on Morning with Mo. Well, a UK town is a bit pissed off over, piggy tourists harassing, their native hogs. The hogs are going for the shires. Beware. Beware. That little piggy went to market, but this little one took a selfie. Apparently, a picture problem has popped up in the New Forest National Park in southern England, where villagers are complaining that an increasing number of overeager tourists have gotten too friendly with the over 600 pigs who roam the park. I mean, I'd get friendly, but mostly because I'd be stealing one for bacon and sausage rolls. I mean, look, sausage rolls are the bomb. UK, you might have had some culinary missteps, but the sausage roll and Bakewell tarts and, sticky toffee pudding, like, really awesome contributions to humanity, in my opinion. But apparently, they want you to not take pictures if you're going to be in England near the park because the pigs are getting too uppity. Basically, they're interacting with humans too much, and it's getting a little bit obnoxious. The pigs just want to follow people around for selfies and food. I mean, I could be motivated as such, so I get it. Now, in our segment of What the Effery, we can thank Nick Starro for this one. Apparently, this guy decided to use the SodaStream to make the Sturströmming soda because he didn't have any Jell-O at hand to create Nuremberg-level food crimes against humanities.
Finns inte. Den här gick ut för 2 år sedan som ni ser på locket. Nu är vi jävligt redo att poppa upp den här badboyen. Jag tänker öppna den då mot mig. Det värsta jag tänker är det första hålet som man trycker och det gör vi nu. Jag hade rätt. Om jag är lite snabb nu så flyttar vi över vätskan till... Jajamän! Vi trycker på play.
Okay, I never thought I would say this, but I would willingly drink a full bottle of Malort than be anywhere near this. And I never thought that Malort would ever be the lesser of two evils.
Vi kör! Den är färdig. Din är jåstövel med det. Oj, jävla svansen sticker ut här. Inga jävla Stockholmsklunkar, Norrbotten upp. Nu kör vi.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. This is what happens when you lack basic cable and you are surrounded by communism. Kettlebells, Russian twist, Bulgarian split squats, and this. This is the true terror of everything. What in the name of all that is unholy? Well, in our next clip, you know, we always wonder where the emo kids went. But this is where they... Oh, I have to... Our final clip to get you out of here on time.
How real is devil worship? Well, that's what my next guests will inform.
This woman is neither Sally, Jesse, nor Raphael. So why should we listen to her? I mean, the shoulder pads are good. And the tricolor eyeshadow and the overplucked eyebrows along with the, fluffy pixie does, increase her bona fides. But this woman is neither Sally, Jesse, nor Raphael. And I just don't know if we should listen to her.
First, we have Dark Lord Blood. He's a 7th generation Satanist. Satanic worship goes back to his great.
I think the lead-in you want to say is, here's a gentleman who can't be within 500 feet of a school. Because I don't think you accurately pegged him. He's a LARPer before LARPing was a word.
Great grandfather. He grew up with this. Dark Lord Blood, I mean, you've seen these rituals. What is it?
I mean, who doesn't have family stories of intergenerational and, generational Satanism in their back? This man is not allowed near schools. Change my mind.
Well, it's a ritual of they may want to give something in a sacrificial sense to a demon, such as to mimic the biblical sacrifice of Abraham.
Do Satanists look different? I mean, are all your friends Satanists?
No, I don't have any friends, but my acquaintances are, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I have here some.
Truer words were never spoken. He does not have friends. Therein lies the problem. This is what happened to weirdos before the internet, where they could find each other.
Something, for instance, which is not really good for kids to see. I don't know if you could see it.
Oh no, not the metal rock is gonna turn the children to Satanism. Not Kiss and Alex Cooper will kill America. God, to be alive and sentient in the 80s would have been a trip. The general hysterics over Satanism, as much as we have had the general effery of the coof, I can't imagine the general effery of looking around and realizing that half the country is dumb enough to think that playing music videos will lead people to slaughter chickens. Not at KFC.
What it essentially depicts is the devil whipping a priest, this kind of imagery.
What about playing lyrics backwards? Have the
Well, there are messages hidden in lyrics and things like that, of that nature, sure. But, the real...
Okay, y'all, what is his 4chan name? Is he Dark Lord Power Thrust on 4chan? Is he Dark Master Thigh Master? I don't know.
The real thing, I think, is in the actual lyrics being played forward.
He wrote to Jimmy Breslin, "Hello from the gutters of New York City, which are filled with dog manure, vomit, stale wine, urine, and blood." These were direct references to the satanic...
I am going to go out here and make a kind of radical supposition, but hear me out. 4chan is an ultimate good for humanity because now they have a place where they can shock each other instead of trying to shock the normies and making every normie that you know terrified of Kiss. Now they just stay in their own little internet pen and try to, well, okay, they do try to irritate the normie intel community, but who doesn't, or who wouldn't, you know, if they had the skills. But 4chan has been a net good. Kiwi Farms, the net negative, but still a time suck that you cannot get out of.
Satanic black mass at which dog manure, vomit, stale wine, urine, and blood are used in a desecration of the Catholic Mass.
And this kind of knife is being sold for that reason. There is something called an axiom. But it's also being sold for healthy reasons. Man, what's healthy about selling a knife that's a bit...
What did we watch him become a human German Shepherd? Also, look, I'm a fan of Assassin Academy as much as the next anime manga nerd, but I don't know the validity of doing the stun clap as an actual physical defense and or offensive maneuver.
And he's growling, you know, so, I mean, people who growl kind of, I think one should be concerned about people that growl, but I just want you to know your growling doesn't frighten me at all. You know?
Oh, that's good. I'm glad I wasn't attempting to.
Thank you for being here. I'm Nola Roper, and this is the best talk in town. Ooh.
This chick was like, holy shit, this dude is growling. I don't make Geraldo money. Get me out of here. The eyebrows never recovered, sadly. Oh, you're actually going to shake his hand? Ew, now you have his cooties. That man does not wash his hands diligently after using the facilities. That's taking your life into your own hand. I mean, you can do it. Now, when I say I might have found the weirdest drag humanity has ever created, I say this as a connoisseur of the cringe hilarious, as a sommelier of cringe. I am speechless and have no idea what to make about this, but I do hope that Quaaludes were involved because that's the only way I can make sense of this. But it's not Pickle Rick, it's Pickle Surprise. Does take a little bit to get on there. 80s technology.
This is tasty. Yeah.
What is it? Huh?
Apparently the electric company had some weird episodes. Nothing like cable access television, drag queens, and Hellmans to round out a day.
It's a surprise. Pickle surprise.
Sir, we're going to go back because I see your Adam's apple in your jawline. The only people surprised are those myopic and lying to themselves.
It's a surprise. Pickle surprise.
Pickle surprise! Pecking is nothing. Spread sandwich spread.
Okay, I hate mayonnaise just by itself. I don't like it. I don't understand the meaning of it. Mayonnaise is just gross to me. I don't like it. So I am more terrified about the mayonnaise, to be honest, than I am about the guy with the Illuminati symbol on his bedazzled pickle costume.
Drop the ham dusty, please. Did I say ham? Repeat my mantra. Ham. Ham. Ham.
I feel like I got invited to a cult meeting I was unaware was already fully in progress. Where in the hell did LaFwanda come from? Because as a child of the 90s, I am only thinking of Shaniqua. And let me say, God bless you, Martin Lawrence, for making and creating Shaniqua, because that character was hysterical. But now that's all I'm seeing. And the very twinky cowboy, as you do.
Pickle surprise! Honey casserole. Oh, there. Where's the pickle? That's the surprise. Pickle surprise.
Well, have a pickle surprise kind of day. I have no idea where to go with that, but I do have to get off of here to set up the Petty Express. We will be continuing on with the Chris Wolfenberger case, but I will be looking on today to see if the voir dire in the Walsh case, the Brian Walsh case, is going to be streamed, and maybe we can cover that, concurrently, if I can figure out a time for another stream, so we won't be behind the ball when the actual trial came. I actually liked the campiness of it, but it creeped me the hell out. So there you go. If you are in ever need of something to completely confound your friends and loved ones, just send them pickle surprise, and they will have no idea what the hell you mean by it, and it might in fact creep them out, but you'll have a hysterical time seeing them trying to figure out why you sent them this. Or these are just things that I do to Mr. Mo and I think are funny. Anywho, I will see you guys in just a little bit. It is still storming out here, so hopefully we will keep the interwebs on. I am going to be sending you guys to my next stream, but we will be going on that cluster F of a trial still. We are in the defense's case in chief. We will be going back, though, because there were certain witnesses that there were audio issues for the state's case that we will be kind of wrapping up towards the end. So stick with us. We've got bingo, we've got fun, we've got snark, and this case is honestly cursed. Have a great day. I will see you there. You are free to go anywhere and everywhere you want on the interwebs. Give Baker some love. I will be at 10:30 starting the Petty Express if you want to hang out with me. Have a great day, and remember, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but have a sassy mouth and carry a can of bitch fire, because some weirdo made Sue-strumming soda and another person created, wrote, and directed Pickle Surprise, and probably still has the right to vote. So keep that in mind. Be kind, but keep your head on a swivel. Bye, you guys.